Hello, magical soul, and welcome to the Awake Revolution podcast. I'm Marie Fleming Grant, and in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing insights, perspectives, stories, and tips, guiding you to drop the baggage, wake up the real you, and revolutionize it all: how you think, how you feel, and how you create, so that you can be all of who you came here to be. Hello, magical soul, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Awake Revolution podcast. Welcome. So today's little conversation check-in is around tapping into the energy flow that is truly yours. And this is a conversation, like an ongoing conversation I've been having with people, I think, for a very long time. And it always comes up in some format, and it came up again recently. So it prompted me to record this episode. And it never ceases to amaze me how we do this comparison between ourselves and others, especially in the online world. And sometimes we have a lot of myths and maybe misconceptions around energy levels, energy flow, what you should be doing and feeling, how you should be working, etc., etc. And there are often so many rules and blueprints around this. And if we don't know how to tune in, it's so easy to get caught out in this comparisonitis, let's call it. So I wanted to just speak around this to help you tap into the ebbs and flows of energies, your own energy in particular, how we work differently, and really to drop the guilt around this and to understand that what works for you is going to be very unique to you, and it may even for some of us here look very different to the majority. So I'm going to just dive in. We'll just kind of see what flows through. And as I'm talking, I invite you just to consider and just reflect and notice anything that comes through for you, because I can pretty much guarantee that there'll be some changes you can make around your energy, your use of your energy, maybe times of day, maybe how you're tapping into it. And of course, your soul always knows. So you might have even felt that your soul has been nudging and pulling at you. Maybe it doesn't feel quite aligned, or something is feeling out of sync for you, in which case this is the perfectly timed divine message for you whenever you're tuning into this. And it's often our minds that have other ideas, right? So in terms of ebbs and flows, I'm just going to use myself as an example because it's just easier. And wherever you resonate and relate, that's great. And you can also just think about it even beyond what I'm saying. So what struck me is that recently, because I've been increasing my visibility, I've been really not holding myself back the way that I used to. So that looks like maybe being more vocal, more visible. And a few people have messaged me and they've shared with me, wow, you really do a lot. Wow, I could never do this. Or, I just don't have the energy. How do you find the time? How do you find the consistency? And it really got me thinking, because what I now know is what I didn't know back before, when I used to just push through, is I now know what really my body requires in order for me to do my soul purpose work, or just be who I really am. And so really for me, and as I say this, see how it resonates with you. Really for me, I need a lot of rest. And I can say that now without the guilt, without the embarrassment, without the shame. There would have been a time in the past when I would have really never wanted to have admitted that. And I used to live my life as a go, go, go person, where I literally jumped out of bed, grabbed a coffee, onto the next thing, never stopping. I'd come home from work after having a real crazy day in the office. This was years ago. And even though I was exhausted, I would have still had duties as a mother, bath, bedtime, homework, all of that, dinner, clearing up. I may have decided to clean the house because that was something I thought I should do. And it was just never ending. And of course, I burnt myself out on that. And so what I want to share with you is that, fast forwarding the way I work now, and it's taken me quite some time to get to this place, because I did take the hard road, so hopefully you don't have to. But I've really tuned in and learned more about myself. And when I've been really honest, and instead of following what I've seen a lot of on social media in my, say, 6 coming up to 7 years being online, where I've seen so many other like coaches, therapists, mentors, guides, whatever you want to label them as, the ones that seemed successful to me were always the ones that were just doing all the time. And when I tried to do it that way, and it was a familiar way for me, it's how I lived my whole life, it just didn't stick. And of course, because I learned how to take care of myself, I learned pretty quickly in this industry that I wasn't here to repeat the way that I used to work and use my energy in the past. So when I dropped I guess, the programming, the conditioning around what it needs to look like, I started to really spend some time tapping into my own energy flow. And what I discovered was, were a few things. And really, one was I'm not a morning person. So I I love the mornings, love the mornings. I love the light of the morning. I love, all of that beautifulness of the morning. But I tell you, the idea of joining the 5 a.m. club or whatever other club is trendy now, just does not light me up. So as you're listening to this, if that does feel amazing to you, totally carry on. I'm never here to tell anybody what to do, but this is really about tuning in. And maybe for some people listening, it will be a confirmation that that 5 a.m. club for you is miraculous. It's really in flow with your energy. But I just want to make the point that for a lot of people, it isn't. So instead of following that blueprint, I've given myself full-blown permission. So I know that my natural flow is when I wake up, because of the sensitivities of my system, being a channel, being an empath of the world, feeling everything, and having so many ideas and creative flows, thoughts. I have a very fast paced mind. I call it like a dynamo inside of me. All of these things running. I feel like it's like if it was an engine, it would be quite revved up. So I know now, tuning in, that what really works for me is when I wake up, I need gentleness. I need to ease into the day. And I've experimented with different things. So for you, I definitely encourage experiment in all different ways until you figure it out for yourself. But for example, I love to exercise now, but when I realized when I try to do it first thing in the morning, like all the professional people and the gurus talk about, like jump out of bed and put your gym gear on. When I did do that, I found that it revved me up and it didn't allow me to get into my own internal flow. So I figured out that for me it was a gentle start. It was start with a meditation, most of the time some kind of journaling, some kind of listening to something. Usually it's reading through things I've written in my notebook or journal to choose the timeline I'm on. I'm stepping into my higher self. I do all these different practices. And then from there, I like to then ease into, maybe I'll do some exercise there, or, if I feel like moving my body, I really tune in. And then typically I'd have, breakfast, then get ready, have a bath or a shower, and then get dressed for the day. And then I realized that I need a whole load of expansive time just to be and dream and float. And to some people, that will sound absolutely crazy, ridiculous, lazy, insane. Who has time for that? Who can possibly live like that? And so I fended that off. And I'm talking until really this year, as I'm recording this, 2022. We're in June now, but until maybe a couple of months ago, it was when I fully surrendered into that. And what I figured out was that I have these ebbs and flows through the day where I recognize now that there are moments where I am just full of energy. And then there are moments where I can't even focus on anything. There's just something inside of me that calls me just to go play or go for a walk. I spend time with my husband. I just kind of do not very much sometimes. But then I used to make that feel as if it was bad. And so now what I've recognized is no, how my energy flows is there's there's expansiveness. So I allow the ideas to come through, the thoughts, even when I write a post, or a message, that filters through. It feels like it comes through in those spaces. I get those ideas in that space. I'm going out there living my life, right? In that space. And then there are times when my ebbs and flows move, and then I get really productive. So then I might have a day or a part of the day, or it could just be like one day in the week where suddenly I feel like, oh, I can record a podcast episode, I can do 3 live streams, I can create content for this, for my program, I can come up with this post. And some days I'll post like 5 times in a day because it's just flowing through me. And then other times I feel like, no, I always have a message, of course, but there are some days where I'm like, well, maybe there's one thing I want to share today, but I feel more quiet, I feel more softer, I feel, like more in retreat mode. So I used to make that kind of, I used to have this belief around, oh, I'm just not consistent, or I'm resistant. And really, really, when I dropped all of that, and of course, sometimes that is real. So that, let's not knock that completely, because sometimes there is that comes in. But what I'm talking about is really getting honest with yourself as to what time of day works for you, because maybe it's late in the evening you come alive, and then if you were listening to certain advice, they might say, oh no, you need to switch your device off at a certain time, and you need to be in your family mode, or you need to be relaxing and having a bubble bath. But maybe that's not for you. Maybe that's when you come alive and you do your best work, right? Or you just feel more creative, or whatever it is for you. So this is really permission for you to drop any guilt around what your particular energy does, the ebbs and flows. Know that you have your own unique way of moving and creating, and how you feel is so special and unique to you. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. And I just want you to really receive that in this moment, just taking a breath even, and just relaxing into this space that is reminding you, you get to do it how you choose. You get to throw the rule book out the window and figure out what works for you, because that is the most important thing when it comes to creating, elevating yourself. And also, what I want to share is, in case you are, and I also, yeah, 2 things I want to share. First is, this isn't just about slowing down, because as I said, there are times when I'm super kind of dynamo is on and I'm go, go, go. But I take advantage of that, because I know if that kicks in, if I don't act on that, I get this kind of traffic jam feeling. And then I get kind of like anxiety in the body because I haven't utilized that energy. So I know now, when I get this kind of wave of energy, it's amazing for me when I just ride it and I let myself to create, create, create. And probably I'm more productive in those times than most people are in maybe even a few days. And I really mean that, because I know then when I have maybe 1 or 2 days where I'm just doing very little, I'm being more than I'm doing, which is very, not allowed, is it, in the kind of conventional circles in the mainstream world. So that's what I'm doing more of. And what is happening is I'm tapping into collective energies more and more, and I'm getting these messages come through more and more, is that the entire collective, with all the shifts that we're going through, the whole collective is being pulled, as you probably already know, out of the old world, old structured, old paradigms, and we're going into these higher frequencies. So what we're going to start seeing is the new type of leadership coming through. And I'm really here for this. And maybe you are too. The new type of leadership we're going to be seeing in all different industries are going to be the types where they are very in tune with what I'm saying right now. It's being able to be and follow the guidance, follow the energy. And it's going to be so much less than the leaders and guides that we've historically had on the planet, who've all been go, 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 hustle, do, grind, work hard, put God knows how many hours into your day, push, 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 right? And really achieve your way through it. Now that served us for a while, but the energies are shifting. So if you find that you are more that type of person, this is also okay, because there's room for everybody. You're still here, you're still needed. But if you still have that go, 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 because some energy types are more, they have more of a maybe consistent energy through the day, which is different to my energy type. But there's more, maybe some people feel like they can go all day, they can sleep at night, then wake up and just do it all again. But even those people, there is a call now for these people to even elevate and step out of more of the doing. Not to say you don't do and produce, but it's very much around being, and it's around your energy and frequency. So whatever energy type that you are, there's no getting away from the fact that it's looking at your natural energy flow, because regardless of your type, we don't rest enough as a collective. We have not, I mean, not the whole world. Obviously, in the Western world, we're kind of a lot more behind than other parts of the world who take siestas. They understand this concept. We've got a lot, a long way to go on that. But there is a requirement now of us to really start to, ramp up the self-care. And we're just needing to do things very differently, because the higher frequencies really are not to do with sacrifice, pushing through, being the martyr, all of this. And just to clarify, so there's no confusion, this energy of being tapped in and aligned is very powerful. So sometimes there's a little fear that comes up around, if I really allow myself to drop into this, oh my goodness, it looks like I'm not doing anything, I'm slowing down. But I can assure you, the more you can slow down internally, it's just internal, the more you can actually produce. So when I now give myself massive periods of expansion, sometimes, if I had any mainstream type of friends who didn't understand any of this, they would probably think I was crazy if they followed me in the day. They'd probably maybe even be concerned about me because they wouldn't understand what it is that I'm actually doing. But I can assure you, when I give myself these expansive, breaks and rest and play and lightness and just kind of doing nothing in the nothingness and just being, I am so productive. And I think I've been more productive this year than any other previous year. And I'm getting a lot more done. I'm writing a book right now that seems to just be going really well, despite the fact that I'm on a deadline, and I'm still having lots of expansive time, because also time expands around us, which is a whole other conversation, but let's just touch on it, because time is a concept. So if we feel that we're under pressure, that's the experience we'll have. If we understand that we are in each moment, and each moment is incredibly expansive, and all afternoon, all day, anything could shift and emerge in that time. It's so expansive when we start moving away from the calendar, the clock, the very rigid linear way of looking at things. So I'll leave it there, because I know that's a whole other conversation that we can have. But let me know any thoughts or feedback from this episode, and just a recap of really giving yourself permission to tap into the energy flow that is truly yours. Because often we're wearing an energy cloak, let's call it an energy cloak, that belongs to them over there, and it's really got nothing to do with your own natural energy rhythm. So experiment. See what works for you. Notice how you feel at different times of the day. Notice that even you might feel differently on different days. If you're more complex like I am, I'm very different. I tried routines and things that don't typically work for me, but sometimes they do. So be prepared to be flexible and change it all up whenever you need to. So let me know. I'd love to hear from you on this, and if you have any questions. So I send you so much love, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. Just to let you know, if you wish to reach out anytime to me with any questions or comments or feedback, I would love to hear. So have a look in the description of this episode, and you'll find all the links to any of my groups, my website, my other social media platforms. So feel free to get in touch. Thank you so much again, and I will talk to you very, very soon.